You have those who are on the side of evil. Evil is working through them to destroy, to divide, and to conquer. And so when you hear these kind of debates and they sound logical to you, you have to be conscious enough to see that it's not logical. It's not logical. And don't get involved in the color thing so that you forget that it is spiritual. It's a spiritual battle. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and wickedness in high places. And so, but what I notice is that it's easy for men and women of God to get caught up in this debate when they get so excited, along with the world way of seeing things, that they don't bring any light into this thing. They don't say, no, this is wrong. You know, they identify with the color thing too, whether whatever color you may be. You cannot be a man or a woman of God and identify with the world. That's the whole purpose of being born again, so you can bring some light into the darkness. But if you're of the light and you're sounding like the darkness, who's going to save who? Who's going to change the situation? You see how everybody got all excited today when I brought this up. Yes. And I knew that would happen. Yes. Because you're not conscious enough. I see why Paul had to rebuke the church. I was just thinking about an incident just crossed my mind right now. And I won't bring up the name because some of the people are in the room right now. But I heard from one of my workers that there are these so-called friends living together, interacting together, and stuff like that. And so two of the women got together and talked about how bad the guy is. They hate the man. They hate this guy, right? And so, and these people are supposed to be sitting still, knowing God, loving what's right kind of people. So they hate the man. I think they're taking side with the woman. I don't know the whole deal. Is that what happened, Pat? Don't say the name. But they take side with the wife and turn against the husband kind of thing? I can't hear you.
I mean, at least one did.
Yeah, one did. And these are Christian-going, Bible-toting, meditating, talking, hate your mama kind of point out kind of deal, confessing sin kind of deal every day. But neither one of these ladies loved the man enough to say, you know, hey, what's going on? You know how God says when you have an issue, go to the brother? They didn't go to the brother. They downed the brother behind his back. And then they'll come to church and talk about truth until the cows come home. Isn't there something wrong with that?
Yes.
If you're going to be of God, when will you start acting like him? When will you love the brother enough to go to him and deal with the issue? There are two sides to every story. And even if the brother or the sister is wrong, your godly love is about helping that person to overcome it. And that's how the light shineth in the darkness so that people can be helped. But if I think the problem is, I don't know what the problem is. It must not be born. What's the problem with that, Rhonda, when you hear that kind of stuff happening in the church?
We're not living the life. We're not living the Christian life we say we are.
And do they know it? I mean, if I'm talking about somebody behind their back, and then I go to church on Sunday morning and praise the Lord, do I know something wrong with me, or I think it's right?
It depends on the person. Some people do know they're wrong.
But how can you
They
be
just don't have the courage to do the right thing.
I'm sorry?
They don't have the courage to do the right thing.
But when and see, the whole purpose of being of God is to create love. You do know that, right?
Yes.
God said to love, the greatest thing you get to have is love for one another. And so the whole purpose of being children of God is to create that love. But if you're backbiting, talking about folks behind their backs, not going to the brother, you're not creating love. And how do you call yourself men and women of God? When you agree with things that are absolutely wrong based on color, you are not of God.
We know that.
You are absolutely not of God.
But what if you do that and you know that?
I'm sorry?
What if you're saying those things and you know you're not of God? If we're not saved, we're not of God yet. And so we see our shortcomings. We see that we're not standing up and having courage. And I see that I'm not showing love to someone that, that I'm angry with or something. So I see that.
Well,
I know I'm wrong.
If that's the case, then if you know that you're not of God, then don't even pretend that you are. Just be mean and suffer until you're ready to get over it. Let the pain happen to bring you to that. don't pretend that you're that, because what happens is when you pretend you're God and then you're acting like the people of the devil, then you're discouraging those who may want to come to God. Because they're going to say, well, if this person is of God and they're talking about others behind their backs rather than going to the person, then I don't want anything to do with God. That's why a lot of children turn away from God, because they see that their parents are hypocrites.
What if
So
that's
don't
your
say-
thorn in your side, and you still are like that, and you're getting better? So how do you do in between? How do you, if you're not mean, but you're still not this good person yet? You're not mean, you're not this terrible person, but you're not this good person either. Then
I don't know what you're talking about.
no, because you're saying don't act like you're like God.
Right.
But say you're not a mean, terrible person, but you still don't have. You can be slightly better, but not good. You can not have courage enough to talk to, to confront your fellow man, but you're not a terrible person.
Right.
So you're showing some good examples, but you're not there. So you're giving mixed signals.
Well, let's
What
say
do you
that.
do?
Uh,
You
If
give
I'm-
mixed. In other words, you're giving mixed signals.
you understand what she's asking?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
and you are a terrible person.
Okay.
I mean, when you're doing that kind of thing, talking behind someone's back and all that kind of stuff, you are a terrible person. That's why you shouldn't pretend to be a Christian and that kind of thing. But we kind of think we're okay because most of the time we're friendly and all this stuff. But when push comes to shove, and that's really the dividing point, is when someone does make you upset enough for you to go after them in a vicious way, you are no good.
Oh, that's
You
a
are
good
just
point.
happy.
Because when you're of love, you can never be pushed to that point because it's not in you.
Well, what I'm saying, that's fine. You are a terrible person, but that doesn't make you a murderer. So and you still have to go every
You might as
day.
well be a murderer.
Christ
Because-
does make you a murderer.
Yeah,
Oh,
good point. That's right.
Put them in jail for that.
okay, but does anybody understand what I'm trying to say? You're not a murderer type of person.
She's
but
saying
You're still
right.
belong towards learning to be godlike, and you're setting a bad example, but every part of you is not evil. At some point you do good things.
Well, maybe you could be doing good things doesn't
I
necessarily make
mean,
you.
not even doing good things. Just every day you're trying to get better. Every day you're trying to get better.
Okay.
So you're-
And what made you better is in those tough and difficult moments, you do the right thing.
Right.
That's what those moments are doing. They are affording you the opportunity to become better.
And then sometimes you fail.
Right. And when you fail, they say, you know what, I missed that one. And wait, it'll come back
So
around.
how will somebody else see that, though? They'll see that as you being a terrible person.
No, you can say, you know what? You can say, I missed out on that one. I was wrong.
Oh, yeah, you see it, but doesn't
Yeah.
mean you do the right thing. So you're judging that person in that one moment and saying they're a terrible person.
I'm not getting your point, though.
She said she,
You are,
I'm
but the
saying-
only redemption really
Okay,
is
it's not the
the
label
fact that
so
you
much.
admit it.
It's
When
not
you
the
admit
label
that
so much.
I'm
You're a
evil.
terrible person, okay? You're not of God.
Patrick want to help me understand.
Until
Whenever I want help, I
until
go
I'm
behind the
saved again,
headlines.
I won't have those abilities to always be the right.
In 1 minute, you understand what she's saying? Oh, I got it.
But
No, I got it.
halfway there.
I got
Much a
it.
label.
halfway.
She's saying that it's a process.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
she's saying.
Okay. First of all, it's not a process.
Well,
That's why you have to renew your mind. You have to, when you sit still and pray, you come away from that thought pattern that we've been taught that life is a process. It's not a process. It's only if you think that it is. And that's why we have to overcome those type of training, that type of training to believe what we think. Never, ever, ever believe that again. Because it's not a process. And when you don't believe that, you're going to live in the present. You're going to live with God in the moment. And then you will see how to do everything.
For more information or to purchase a copy of this show, visit us on the web at www.bondinfo.org or call 1-800-411-BOND.